I'm Chase Briscoe, driver number 14 Ford Mustang for Stewart Haas Racing, and you're watching William Blackwell on YouTube.
This past weekend in college football, things were very interesting, and it wasn't really meant to be interesting because Georgia, number one, was taking on Kentucky. Georgia won this game, but Kentucky put up a lot bigger fight than a lot of people thought they would, and that was a little bit of a shocker there. And then Ohio State at number two, they went to Maryland. They had their fair shares of struggling, and it did not look promising. C.J. Stroud may have clinched his Heisman Trophy tonight in Maryland, but it's a terrible performance overall for Ohio State's defense. They got to get better. And then Michigan at number three, they took on Illinois in the Big House. Did not look good. Brett Bielema has his team going in the right direction of Illinois. Give him another year or two. I believe they'll be just fine. But Michigan, however, they got to get going. Their defense is struggling. Their offense takes too long to get going. You got to work on momentum, Michigan. You got to start off the games hot. You cannot start from behind. And that's what they did against Illinois. Not a big fan of how they played, but I'm sure Harbaugh will get them right as they enter the big week against Ohio State. That's going to be a big one. But at number four was TCU. They took on Baylor, a big rival for them. They ended up coming with a win by a late second field goal, but they won by 1 point, but 1 point is just as good as 30. Saying that TCU only won by 1 point, I have some optimism that if Tennessee were to handle or manhandle South Carolina tonight, they can jump them in the college football rankings. But man, quite the opposite happened. Tennessee showed up tonight in South Carolina behind the 8 ball. They let a touchdown go early on for South Carolina, and they were down 7-0. Hendon Hooker finally got it going. They put some points on the scoreboard. And next thing you know, South Carolina has a 2-possession lead. And that 2-possession lead grew to 3 possessions, and it got over with. And one thing that will stick out for many people tonight is that Tennessee couldn't handle the pressure. Their defense was a bunch of pretenders. They couldn't stop the pass, especially in the middle. And it's just crazy how far this team has came and for them to struggle in this big of a setting. And it's clear to say at this point in time, I'm a Tennessee fan, and I'll admit this. They made it this far. People thought they were good enough to go to the national championship. They were not. They're a bunch of pretenders. And this is the result of a young team. Give them a couple of years. They'll be back on track. But this year is definitely not the year. A bunch of pretenders. And that defensive coordinator has to tighten up. They got Vanderbilt this upcoming weekend. And they're going to make a New Year's Six bowl game. Big deal for them. They got to win out. And Hendon Hooker may be done with Tennessee.